Hi, this is Tony Wade, the Compassionate Investor, and we are here in part 3 of our 3-part series on living in a transitional housing property. Let me tell you, I'm so excited about this one because we're going to meet with Sheldon today because he is one of my top housing managers at one of our 4 family flats, and we are going to go into the nitty and gritty of what it takes to be a housing manager with the HomeQuest Group. So go grab your pen, go grab your paper, because we're about to go in. This is Tony Wade, the Compassionate Investor, and we are sitting here with Sheldon here at one of the properties that we manage. So I'm just so excited for having you here, Sheldon.
Thank you.
For several reasons, but the first is being, I think that you are our all-time best housing manager unofficially, because I don't have the role I've given, but you are the best. And we're going to talk about that a lot through this episode. But specifically today, I just want people to get an opportunity to know you. And also for me, maybe to learn something new, because I don't get an opportunity to sit with too many people and sit and have these type of conversations. So this is our first time doing that. So let me tell you, are you from St. Louis?
I am originally from Wisconsin, born and raised.
Okay.
Left there in 1974, not giving away my age. I spent 20 years in the military.
Okay.
And it took me all over the place. And then I moved to St. Louis about 10 years ago. And that's another long story.
Okay.
And so I've been here since then. And 6 years ago, when I was looking for someplace, I was staying in a motel for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And, that gets expensive.
It does.
So money was like running out. So I was, I don't want to say desperate, but I was kind of desperate. So I started looking and I found you.
And how long ago was that?
6 years ago.
6 years you've been with me.
6 years, yep.
And I think, and that says a lot that you've been with us that long. As people do this type of housing, you sometimes get people who stay for just a moment of time. But for you to be with us for 6 years, that just speaks of volumes for one, probably how you like our housing and how you like working with us. So can you elaborate on any of that?
Initially, when I found you, and I was desperate because I didn't know I had what I had in my car, and I didn't have no furniture, nothing like that. So I needed something that was furnished, and so I found you, and so I moved in, and my thoughts were, I'll be here a year, and well, now it's been 6 because I'm very comfortable here. This is all the space I need. I've got my room. It's just a shared unit. We share the bathroom facilities and the kitchen facilities, that's fine by me. That's all I need. So I'm comfortable. If I wasn't comfortable, I wouldn't stay. But I'm very comfortable, and I don't see me leaving in any time in the immediate future.
Yeah,
just stay here.
And that's the one thing I think I love about working with you, Sheldon. And not that because we've tried to get you to go to other places, but you were just. You love it here. But you know what? I think this is really good and is suited for you because I think that you've learned the neighborhood. You learned how to work with us. You know how we like things running here. So it has served us really well having you here with us for 6 years. Now, in that 6-year period, I know you've seen a lot, which we'll talk about probably in one of the other episodes.
A lot of people come and go.
Come and go. Like you see that probably more times than you can care to say, and the types of individuals. But as we look at just you, do you have family that lives here, or?
Nope. My family is South Carolina and Wisconsin, South Florida, kind of spread out.
Okay. So would you say that with everyone spread out and you being here and this shared type of housing model for you, has it served you really well in this space? Because I know you've been here, but how has that served you?
I've thought about, why shouldn't I go live with family and stuff? But 20 years in the military, I was out on my own. So I've always been on my own since I was just shy of 20 years old. So I don't need, not to say that wrong, but I don't need my, family and that I go visit them and stuff like that. But I'm very comfortable right here on my own.
Yeah.
So That's just what I'm used to it. And I really enjoy it. Property wise, I've always taken care of anything or anywhere I've lived.
Okay.
So you've noticed that here.
Oh yes, definitely. That's one of the things I love about you.
Military, base housing, any kind of. We had some nice housing I lived in, and it doesn't matter what it is. If it's even if it's a tin room with tin roof and all that stuff, I would still take care of it, no matter what it is. Make it look as nice as you can possibly make it look.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do out here. You know, whether in my room, out in the common areas, outside, keeping the leaves cleaned off, keeping the snow cleaned off, and keeping the trash cans cleaned, all that stuff. I do it all, and I don't mind doing it because that's just the way I like to see things. And I just don't like to be dirty and things
exactly.
Just a mess and stuff. So
exactly.
That's just the way I am.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you like that. You've been a really great asset for us here, just keeping things moving here at Hamilton. Now, in this particular role, we're going to go into, in our next segment, really speaking specifically about the roles that you played with us. But before we get into that, what type of things do you aspire to do for yourself, like in the next 5 years, if you had to say you have some aspirations?
5 years from now? I hope I'm still around, you know.
You better be.
I am getting up there in years. I'm just knocking on 70, so.
Yeah. But you do give back to a lot of people. I've seen you do that. Even just in what you do here, you give back to a lot of the people here who are with us.
With today's internet, you can do a lot online.
Yep, there are a lot of things.
There's a lot of stuff to do online. You know, you can donate here, do this, do that. And that's all kind of behind the scenes, you know, that I do stuff that way too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my goal going forward, because like I said, my job is to see how I can complement some things that you want to do for yourself. And if there are opportunities for that, I want to be able to open that. But I definitely love the role that you serve for us as our housing manager. Now that we have sort of got a chance to know you, this is where the nitty gritty is going to come, because we're going to talk about your unofficial role as our housing manager. Now, I say unofficial only because it's not like a designated position, but there are individuals as they come into our space and working in our properties that elevate to that level of someone we trust. And that's what it really means, because we trust you. And when you can trust someone who can be almost like your eyes and ears at the property and do things to help make things run smoothly, that's when we're like, yeah, that's going to be a great housing manager. So did you know that we've called you that though?
Yes, I've been called that when different people have had to come in. For instance, like back in the spring when we had the sewer issues.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone called me the on-site property manager.
Oh, so, on-site property
which
manager.
I take it with a grain of salt, because I know, and I don't mind doing it, because number one, I believe in policies that are put in place need to be adhered to. Then just live like on the outside, you know, when they've been told to do this and that, they do this and that. It's not hard. All the policies in place are common sense policies.
Right.
Just that's all it is. So, and I don't mind. I just, you know, sometimes I might stick my nose too far, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I think that's okay too, you know, because the one thing we want to make sure too is that we keep you safe. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with individuals who are, you know, coming out of incarceration. We got people who are dealing with mental illness, people who are dealing with addiction. So that comes with its own weight. So my job is to make sure you're never put in a position where you feel like you're in harm's way, but that we keep you safe. So, you know, sometimes you'll stick your neck out there a little bit and then you'll bring it back in again. So I do appreciate that you understand that.
Oh, I do. And you're a phone call away.
Yep, we are a phone call away. So talking about the rules, because, you know, and I mean, I can't imagine life not having rules. And you have to have them. So when people come into the space and you share some of those rules, have you had anyone really say, oh, no, I'm not going to do that?
I've had some issues with our trash receptacles outside. But other than in here, and I know in our unit, all 4 units in this building, they've all got their own individual in-house rules.
Right.
Which simple things like bringing the mail in, putting it on the kitchen table. Some people don't even touch the mail in the mailbox. They let the person go out and get their mail. Little things like that. But
Yeah.
it's now 6 years I've been here. I haven't had any issues inside here.
That's good. And that's what I love. At every property, we have basic rules and guidelines that everybody follows. And then each individual unit creates their own dynamic of how they operate together, those rules. So in this one here, do you guys get the mail and bring it in and put it on the table?
Being that I'm here 99% of the time, I can see the mail person come. So I go out and get it, bring it in, look at it, put it on the table in this spot, this spot, this spot. And that's the way it's been going for
Perfect.
6 years since I've been here.
Perfect. And I actually know you're our person when it comes to anything we send Amazon, because we do send Amazon packages here for maintenance.
I receive them, and I see them come because I'm big front window here, so I can see them come real easy.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about that, because I like the fact that you pointed out you're in the front. As the housing manager, does that help you really well?
Yes, I could imagine me being in a back room. I'd be kind of like I'm in a dungeon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I sit in the chair you're sitting in, and a lot of times I'll have a spun around me sitting kind of out here, and I can see out the window.
Yeah.
And on the camera, of course.
And that's what I like about how you manage for us here, because you are in the front unit. You see everything that's going on. Now, we have cameras on the property as well, but Sheldon takes it so seriously. He has his own, because he has another angle that we don't see, that he also sees his vehicle, and he also sees what's going on even more. So I like the fact that you got that additional level of security that you've built in to help you manage and keep things quiet here.
It has good nighttime vision, so you can see out there like it's daytime
Mm-hmm.
at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And I think that you've caught a lot of things on action for us, or we got on tape for stuff that's happened.
I have recorded a few things and forwarded them to the appropriate people that needed to see it.
Yep. And see, and I'm just going to say, not everybody does this. This is why he's my favorite housing manager, because he does the things above and beyond. Like, you exceed expectations every time.
And I don't
for
mind
me.
doing it one bit. It's just, I feel like it's not my duty, but just my responsibility to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I will say about you, Sheldon. And I don't want to put you on the spot or put this out on blast, but I think it's important to say you do this not expecting anything from us.
Nope. Just a roof over my head, air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter, a nice hot shower. That's all I care about.
And the one thing, and that's what I love about you, you do it like effortlessly. And we show you on a regular basis how much we appreciate you.
Yes,
Many gift cards we send your way.
And that is not expected one bit.
I know, and that's what I love about you.
Not one bit. I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
Especially this spring when we had, as I mentioned earlier, the sewer problem we had.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all I'm going to say is that was one big mess.
It was, but it got together and you were there helping them do what was necessary. So I want to thank you personally just for helping us keep those things managed, because that is critical to us being able to move forward, is having people we trust to be able to carry things for us. Now, I just learned something I did not know, and I feel stupid for not knowing it. So you actually used to do this type of work before?
Yes, I was a friend of mine, and we got together, and he had bought a bunch of it was low income
Mm-hmm.
trailers, mobile homes in a trailer park. He started buying more. Finally, and he was working a full-time job. He just said, "I can't do this no more." So he said, "You want to take over everything and do the maintenance and collecting the rent and all that stuff?" I said, "Sure." So I formed a little company, Homestead Property Management, and so the tenants in the park would come to I lived in the park too.
Uh-huh.
And they would come to pay the rent there, and they would come in rent. I had rental agreements. We did month to month, so we didn't do the leases because
Right.
leases are.
Right.
So we did month to month, and they would call me or come knock on my door for maintenance issues, what have you. So I collected the rent. I rented out. I had evicted people. I was their worst enemy when I had to go to the courthouse and file eviction paperwork.
I would have never known. And it's a perfect fit, though. Looking at how you serve for us now, like, you don't do the full extent of what we do, but this little piece here, without this little piece, it makes it very difficult for all the other parts to work. So that's why I love that fact. And I didn't know that you did that before. So that is one more thing I'm going to put in the back of my head because we're going to talk about doing some stuff. I have been trying for years to get Sheldon to do this type of work on a higher level, but I take you wherever I can get you. And I love you right here being the unofficial housing manager for us. So thank you for that. But as we get into this housing manager role, and we've already talked about the guidelines, I'm curious, because we've got so many stories to talk about that we've seen and experienced, but you have to actually manage 4, because this is a 4-family flat. It's not a duplex or just one building or one unit. There's actually 4 units in this 4-plex. So has that been a challenge for you, being able to manage all of that the way we want you to?
Sometimes I feel like my hands can be tied a little bit, but that's okay because yeah, I do get people coming down because they know I'm kind of the go-to guy, so they come down, knock, 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 knock,
Yeah.
And I said, I don't mind. That's if somebody loses their key.
Yep.
So you all have a policy in place. If you lose a key, it costs you
$40.
costs you $40 to get the key. And I did have one tenant. This has been he's all gone now, about a year ago. He lost his key the very next day. He paid me the money.
Exactly. That's his job.
You want a key? $40 and you can have a key.
Exactly. Make sure they don't lose it, because that's why we always tell people, when you get your key, go make a copy and put it in your shoe or do something out of that, you have a backup. Because if you have to call Sheldon, it's $40 to get in your door. So I would rather have you do something like that and spend $2 than pay $40 when you lose it.
Now I have had people the keys in their room, and they just twisted their lock and they locked it. So, and I want to open to let them in. The keys laying right there. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they lose it, lose it.
Yeah. Now, in this housing manager role, as you see, trust is very important because we give Sheldon access to our panel for our cameras. He has access to the panel, to get into the other rooms. And clearly the people in this community know you're trustworthy because we've given you that.
I have the codes for each unit, have all the codes for it, but I do not, under any circumstances, go into that unit without authorization or if I'm on official
Exactly.
business.
So and that's why I said we trust him. There's nothing that we do here that we do not trust to be able to share with Sheldon, because he keeps us fully informed and he works on making sure that everybody else moves as they need to move. If I can say anything, they probably think you're more of a, because like they'd be like, oh, Sheldon's going to make sure it gets done. Like when I talk to other people, they actually appreciate you being that person for us, because we create a community here. So can we talk a little bit about creating community? Because I think it's important. Well, I'll just say it like this, because it's not everybody. Out of all the people that live here, most of the people, you all create a community. So when other new people come in, you show them what is expected and what is done. Can you talk on that?
Yeah, like when the weather's nice, we can kind of chill outside. We can sit there and chew the fat. You might, and so that works. But in wintertime, everybody's got it to themselves. It's just cold out. Nobody wants to sit outside. But in the summertime, and like I said, people have come and gone. I did hear probably one of the longest tenants here, but we've had all different walks of life. So people come in here. Some of them are young and arrogant, and some people get along with everybody. They don't care. But you got a few that you say the wrong thing to them, they want to jump down your throat.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody gets along with everybody.
Yeah, and the rules that we set in front before they get here helps keep the house moving as it needs to move. Because without those rules up front, and that we share and let them know what the expectations are, they're reinforced then when they get here. One of the biggest rules I think that most people really want to violate is around having guests in the room.
Oh, I could tell you stories about that.
Oh, I already know you got some stories.
Yes. Guests after 9 or 10 o'clock at night or spending overnight.
We don't do it. We don't do it. So it's reinforced on both sides. We reinforce it up front, and I let them know that's one of the first things I ask. If you think this is the hangout spot, it's not. You know, do you understand that this is going to be for you only? Those are the type of things that we ask up front to get a feel. Is this going to be a person that's going to try to break the rule? Because they give me hints to let me know, oh, well, my girlfriend, or I already know that you're probably going to break that rule. And I reinforce it like 2-3 times. And then when they get here and they meet Sheldon, what does Sheldon do? Reinforce that same rule. Because that's what we do. So those are the type of things that I love about having you here, because you reinforce the rules that we set up front. And not that, and at the end of the day, you know, we never get to a point where, I mean, when it's not controllable, because I know you do have conversations with people when they're here without even calling us.
I've been face to face with a couple of people here over the past 6 years, and a couple of them have been there's some current tenants here now that I've been face to face with, and from that point, he had said one word to me.
Yeah. And they know, but at the end of the day, this isn't about snitching or nothing like that. It's a rule.
No.
We have rules in place for a reason. And clearly, we don't know everybody that person knows, and you just got them randomly coming by, visiting. This is not the hangout spot. That's why that rule is there. We keep people like Sheldon safe, the other individuals here who live here safe. We don't know everybody that they know. That's why we have the rules in place that we have, and we enforce it. So clearly, we could go on and on about this house manager rule, but for time, we really can't go into too many. Is there any one other thing you want to share about this house manager role before we end our interview?
One thing, and Tyrone has stressed this numerous times when we've had conversations out front, is that when you walk in that front door, you rent that room. You're not renting everything in that front door. You walk through there. That's not your whole apartment. So you just have that room. So that's your room. You go to your room and you use the facilities, what have you. But this is not like, this is transition housing. This is not like you go rent an apartment, say across the street where you rent an apartment. That's all yours inside there to do what you want with. Here, you got rules and guidelines that should be adhered to. So it makes life easier for everybody else that lives here. And right now we have, I think, 12 people living up in the units here. So.
And that makes a difference. So if you don't have the rules in place to manage it, you'll have chaos. That's why it's calm and quiet here, because we make sure that we follow the rules. So Sheldon, I appreciate you so much for the time you've given me today. Thank you for the interview. We might call on you again just because you could talk on this topic. We could probably spend a whole series on this role and how we do it well. So I just want to thank you for giving us the time today. Hi, this is Tony Wade, the Compassionate Investor. Boy, wasn't that some good information that we heard from Sheldon. I'm telling you, being a housing manager is not easy, but he makes it so easy because he really loves what he does, and I love what he does for us. So if you're interested in learning more about the housing manager role, or specifically about transitional housing and how to do that in your community, then come find me. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Twitter, but definitely come find me. You can also find me on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Transitional Housing Maximized Collective, where we talk about ending homelessness and providing affordable housing options through transitional housing. So as you could tell, I'm passionate about this. I want you to be passionate with me as we do this work together so that we can help people transform their lives. Because I understand, and you understand too, that transformed lives transform the world. And so it is.